Hey guys, it's Jen over at worldofjencraft.com, and I have a card for you today using the Flying Home stamp set, one of the new sets that I got from the Occasions catalog haul that I showed the other day. This set I could not wait to get my hands on, and I have just been having so much fun playing and coloring. So this is actually a flip fold card, and I found this on Pinterest. The original creator had used an oval, but I thought this would be just perfect with a square on it. So it opens up like this, and I went ahead and put a sentiment here, and then I added another sentiment on this side, and these are from the Barn Doors stamp set. And then you opened it up again and to reveal where you would put your greeting or whatever you want to write on the inside. And for this one I just chose to keep the plain craft cardstock, but you certainly could put white under here or just use a white card base for it. So let's get with the supplies, and I will show you how I put this together. So because this is a little bit lengthy of a card to do, I went ahead and I have everything pre-scored, pre-embossed, and pre-cut, and all I need to do is assemble and color. The Whisper White organza ribbon is what I used. I told you guys I absolutely love that stuff. New in the Occasions catalog coming up on January 3rd. Barn Door and Flying Home are also two stamp sets that will be available starting January 3rd, and both of these I just absolutely fell in love with. I love the sentiments for this card because this one is, or this stamp set is lacking sentiments, but I found that these were pretty sweet sentiments to go along with the houses that I colored. So, whew! Dies, the layering squares framelits and the stitch shapes framelits. And I brought back my favorite embossing folder, the hexagons. For paper, this is what you guys are going to need. So I used the craft cardstock that comes in the Mary Patterns, I think, cardstock pack that is in the holiday catalog. So yeah, so that'll be going away here at the end of December. And so what this is this is 4 1/4 by 9 3/4, and then you are going to score it at the 4 1/4 mark going along this long way. And then you're going to need another piece. This is 1 1/2 by 4, and I scored it at 1/2 inch just here on the end. Daffodil Delight cardstock is a 4 by 4 and 3/4 inch by 4. Pool Party cardstock is 1 1/2 by 4 1/4, a 3-inch scalloped square, and a 2 7/8 inch square. And these are all cut with the dies. And then Whisper White, you are going to have a 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I have already pre-embossed this, so we don't have to get our big shot out today. The square that we are using for this is 2 7/8, so it just barely cuts around this image. And I did pre-stamp this image to make sure it was fully dry before I started coloring on it, and I'll tell you why once we get coloring. And then I do have two 2 5/8 inch stitched squares, again, that I've already pre-stamped on. So let's get to assembling the card itself, and then I will do the coloring at the very last. So this is how your card is going to open up on this end. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put our Pool Party cardstock here just on the edge, and I kind of like just having a little bit of color on that very edge part here. So that's going to go here. And then we're going to flip it over, and I'm going to put my Daffodil Delight on. And that's just going to go centered here in the front. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put our Whisper White on. And again, that's just going to go centered on our Daffodil Delight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the center of our Whisper White. just like so. And then I'm going to stamp our sentiment, hopefully straight, because my first one wasn't as straight as I would have liked it. And so this one is going to be, may your troubles be less and your blessings be more. So I went ahead and lined it up as squarely as I could with my block. And I'm going to pull this down just a little bit so I can see where I'm stamping here. And hopefully get this in between the birds like I want it and straight. Ah, much better than the first one. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and then I'm going to take our other sentiment. Nothing but happiness comes through your door. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that one directly in the center of this as well. Oh, and that was a little on the offside, but we're just going to be good with that. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is we are going to adhere our Daffodil Delight onto, actually I think you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and this piece is going to get adhered to the back side of that. And generally I would use something a little bit stronger than this adhesive here. But because that's all I have right now, that's what I'm going to use. So that's just going to get centered right here onto the back of this. And so that'll kind of flap over to the front here. And then I'm going to put my Daffodil Delight on. And that's going to go centered on top of that. And I did purposely leave that one unscored, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold it down to create that score line. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere my ribbon to the back side of this, just here along the center and on the back. And how did I do that? Oh, that's right, because this is going to get covered up by this. So I'm going to cut it off here and then wrap it around because none of that is going to get shown. So that's just going to get put on like this. And our, let's see, it was easier if I put, see now my ribbon is pulling a little bit, so I think I'm going to do that a little bit differently. And I'm going to add a new glue dot because my paper just came up with it. Alright, so there's that. And I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to keep this closed. See, I need a little bit heavier duty tape on that. So I'm just going to pull this around here and then put that down there with the glue dot. So now that lays perfectly straight on there. So how I did this is I went ahead and put on my my square. I'm going to want to completely cover over the one underneath. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on here. And then that's going to get centered on top of there. Make sure I've got my square going the right way. Like this. And then this piece is going to go and it's going to cover over everything that's in there. Like that. And then finally, well, I lied, so not finally, I'm going to go ahead and put this one onto the center of here. And then as long as we have this on here, I'm going to go ahead and color in my little birds. And so I used the well, I'll list out all of my Stampin' Blends because I did forget to bring these in here. And I did do all of my stamping with the, oh, what's it called? The Memento Tuxedo Black. So what I did is I started off with the dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to color a little bit in his wing here, a little bit in his wing down here, and then I'm going to cover the whole entire back one. And then I'm going to bring in my light and just kind of blend those in with the rest. So just like this, being careful not to put too much ink down. And the reason I pre-stamped mine is I did find when I was making these the other night that if I stamped and then colored shortly after I stamped, I did find that I had a little bit more bleeding versus if I had stamped and let that completely dry for quite a while. And then I didn't have as much bleeding when I did it that way. So again, with our light and dark pool party, I'm going to do the same with this little bird here. So this is just going to get colored in with the dark here, a little bit on this wing and a little bit in this wing. And then I'm going to take my light and I'm just going to go over that and blend it into the rest of him. Again, being careful not to lay down too much ink so as to not get any bleeding. And then I'm going to take our darker Calypso Coral and just color in their little beaks. Cute, cute. Isn't that sweet? All right, so now comes the major coloring on this. And I'll bring back this guy in here. And now that I've gotten my markers, because I didn't put my lids on it, so note to self, put your lids on or you will get marker all over your card. All right, so I don't know, maybe I'll just kind of go over it. It's kind of self-explanatory. So this is my Calypso Coral and I use the light and dark. This is my Daffodil Delight House and I use light and dark, and my Pool Party, light and dark. And then I just kind of alternated the colors in there. My roofs are done up in the light and dark smoky slate. My tree, whatever, trunks were done up in the bronze. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get to coloring, and I will fast forward as I go through because this is pretty time consuming actually. So there it is. Just a couple things to note. I did put a little bit of gray with the color lifter in the windows, and I used the light of each color to color the houses and then used the dark like for the accents on it. But other than that, the only finishing touch I have right now is I'm going to adhere this onto my card front, and I'm going to put some Wink of Stella on a few of the little guys on here. So let's get this adhered. And that's just going to go centered in our little scalloped square, like so. And another thing while I'm putting this Wink of Stella on, I did want to mention that when you are using the alcohol markers, you don't need to have a real heavy hand to color it, because the color just kind of glides out of the marker and onto the paper. And I do like using the brush tip for all of my fine parts that I have to color in. So I do use that when I'm coloring. And again, you don't have to apply much pressure to it because it flows out of there, and it just, I don't know how to explain it. Unless you have the markers, it's kind of hard to completely explain how that happens and what it does. But I did forget to color my little bird in, so I guess I'm going to have to go back and color him in quick. So I'll go ahead and I'll use my brush tip, and I didn't do anything fancy. I did use the lighter of the two, whatever it's called, Bermuda Bay. So, I mean, it just takes seconds on there, and then I'm just going to give him a little tiny yellow beak there. And then I'm going to go over him with some Wink of Stella to make him sparkle. I haven't used this in a while, guys. Are you proud of me? So, I don't know if you can see the, the little shimmer in there or not, but I think it just kind of adds, there it is. I think it adds just a little extra touch on there. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a quick little bow and get that put on there as well. So, using my little trick that I have discovered, I now know that my bow is going to be almost perfect. So, I like it. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like that. And let's get my good scissors that I like to cut my bows with, or my ribbon. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut him down like so, and put a glue dot on, and our card is going to be complete. So that's just going to go right here in the center. Kind of, maybe. Let's try this again here. Maybe use two hands. So, and I think I'm just going to leave my bow hanging kind of down a little bit. Well, I don't know, maybe not. I thought maybe I could be okay with that, but maybe I'll just trim it just a little bit so it's not so far down. Okay, that's it. That's the card, guys. Sorry it took a little bit longer. Hopefully I can speed things up by fast forwarding through all of the coloring, but I just think it turned out really super cute. Oh my gosh, look at that. Wouldn't that be fun to receive? So, all right, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you on my next video. worldofgencraft.com if you would like printable, downloadable dimensions and a supply list. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you. Bye.